Welcome to Big Blue's Explorations. Today you join me from Budapest on the way to Japan. This was made up of 3 flights in that's 24 hours. The first flight from Budapest to Helsinki, and the second flight from Helsinki to Osaka, and then the third flight up to Hokkaido. The morning started reasonably early, but not too early. Getting to the airport just before midday. Actually, it was a bit earlier than that. It's about 9 o'clock for about 11ish departure. When I got to the airport, I found it was a little bit of a weird style, because you had one side was international departure in a different building, and then one was within Europe. But but it looked like there was some sort of walkway, but for some reason it wasn't open that day, and there's just some security between. So I had to walk back out and come round. Even though I was going on a flight operated by Finnair, it didn't seem to be listed with all the other One World airlines, which was interesting. So I did finally find out where I was going exactly, because Finnair has a slightly different relationship with the EU, that they're like not in the EU, but they are in the EU. So that's why I was surprised. I thought they would have been in the international section, but they weren't. So I went through. It was quite quick. They told me about how they could only check my luggage in to Osaka, but then explained that that's because that's a Japanese rule. They don't accept luggage all straight through from your starting destination. They want to check it first. So that was okay. I went through. The lounge was very basic. A few food options, breakfast mainly. I had something to drink. Did stuff on the iPad, and then went and took some pictures of planes, seeing the LL737, Aer Lingus A321, as well as some pictures of KLM's aircraft and Air China's 777 as we were taxiing, and again British Airways A320. We boarded the Embraer E190 for this flight. About 2 hours or so in the air. You got some tarmac footage here of us leaving the gate as we make our way out, seeing the Embraer Canada Jet 190, and again you see the Wizz Air, and then Fly Malta, which does air cargo and stuff like that for different customers. Looks like on this one that it's mainly Chinese, Japanese based. So this taxied out to the runway, made a left turn, and then headed down past the Xiamen Airlines 787 and Ryanair as well 737, and came to the end where we found that it was a maintenance base, and then lined up for takeoff. The flight itself, you can see some older aircraft here that we saw on the way. Takeoff Airbus base here, lots of Wizz Air flights this part waiting to go, and a few other airlines which are a little bit more unusual. So we took off behind the Wizz Air and a few other carriers before descending down the runway towards takeoff. The flight itself was very pleasant. There was only 3 people in business class that day. The catering on Finnair for such a short flight was extremely good. We had the main and the starter eating on one plate. Lots of fishy stuff, which was good. So we had herring, some anchovy, and then we had some salmon as well as part of a little starter. Sorry, anchovies in this flight. That was salmon was the next flight. Then we had this beef with their famous like blueberry sort of compote, but it's called logberries. Then we finished off with some caramel buns, and afterwards she came around with a cup of chocolates. Obviously they get a certain amount on the flight, and if there's not that many people, they just basically fill them up and use them, which is good, because in many other airlines you would just get given them 1 or 2. So it was good to have a good amount for later on in my travels. can see from footage outside the window, it was a very pleasant day as we made our way to Helsinki, arriving about 25 minutes before we were scheduled to, which was good. Lots of nice pictures as we descended into Helsinki over the frozen tundra. Lots of crystallization in the windows as we did that at certain points, making our sent into Helsinki, seeing one of the other Finnair aircraft, A220, landing at roughly the same time, which was quite good to get that on film. And then made our way round to the gate area. This was filmed on the Nikon Z7. It's a little bit bumpy because obviously I'm not using gimbal in this one, but you can see get some nice pictures as we did make our way around Helsinki Vantaa Airport, or Hell as the aviation geeks talk about. It's on one thing when you can say, yes, I'm going from Hell to Osaka. Yes, well, in this case you can. It's HEL. So this taxis around the airport, and then after a wee while made it into the first class lounge, having a sauna, as the Finnish say it, which was very nice, and really quite a strange experience to have in the middle of the airport. After being in the lounge for about an hour or so, I did make my way to, after having the burger. There was reindeer meat on it. I did finally make my way over to the next flight, the A350, to take me to Osaka. This flight was exceptional. The seat is definitely nice. I really like the lounging sort of area. You can see some pictures here of the economy cabin as well, and some other planes as we started departure. The flight itself was smooth. Again, about 12.5 hours of flying. We got great food on this flight, including salmon, and then I had the fish halibut at that time, and then had really good chocolate dessert as well. Really attentive. What I find interesting is everyone thinks that Finnish people are very reserved and stuff like that. I did actually feel that the crew on this flight and on the previous flight, which I had spoken to a lady who did work with cabin crew training, and she thought it was quite interesting that I had picked up on the thought that they weren't coming across as a reserve when that's such a cultural thing to be in Finland. So I think she was pleasantly surprised that that was the sort of impression that they gave across in the cabin crew, which I think an airline is looking for. You're looking for good attentive service, but also being able to not be too attentive that you forget about the rest of your duties that you have for. So I think it was nice to be able to give them that good feedback. But overall, highly recommend Finnair, and definitely worth the flying from going repositioning to Budapest to actually get that.